Hey guys, it's Miss Bettis. So today I'm going to be working on the first 15 problems of your review for Test 9, which just covers everything that we've talked about as far as inequalities go and just writing your systems of equations. So let's go ahead and get started. So Julie does not want to spend more than $300 on ice skating. So she does not want to spend more than $300 on ice skating. Her skates will cost $42. Her lessons will cost a total of $56. So those are both one-time payments. And the practice time will cost her $7.50 per hour. So that's going to be charging every hour she goes and practices. Which inequality should Julie use to determine the maximum number of hours, H, she can practice without spending more than $300. So we said that her skates is going to be a one-time payment and her lessons are going to be a total of $56 altogether. So those are one-time payments, so we know that we're going to have to add those two together. So far this one is doing that. This equation lacks the 56. This one lacks the 42, it doesn't have it. This one has both of them, but it's subtracting. So it's going to be D. Another way we could have done this is by looking at the no more than $300. That's her maximum. Remember, your inequality, your alligator always eats the max number, in this case the 300. And it's okay if she spends 300, which is why the inequality is underlined. Let's look at number 2. Steve practices the piano and trumpet 5 days a week. He practices the piano for X minutes each day. So piano is X. He also practices the trumpet Y minutes each day. Steve's goal is to practice the piano and the trumpet for a total of at least 150 minutes each week. Which inequality best represents this? So at least 150, that's the minimum. So your inequality is not going to open up, your alligator is not going to eat the 150. So we can cross out A and C. So now let's look at the difference between B and D. One has X twice and the other one has X and a Y. Well, he's not trying to practice the piano twice. He's trying to practice the trumpet and the piano, which is why it's D. Let's move to number 3. So this one asks, which of these graphs best represents the inequality y is less than or equal to 1/3 x plus 1? Well, let's start with our y-intercept. We know the graph is going to have to cross out a positive 1, which means we can cross out J and G. We also notice that our inequality is underlined, which means it's going to produce a solid line, not a dashed line, which leaves us with the answer choice H. It rises 1 and over 3, which is what our slope is. Number 4. Louise correctly graphed the solution of an inequality on the coordinate grid below. So here's the graph. We notice that the graph has a y-intercept at 5 and a slope of rise 2 over 1. So we know our b is -5 and our slope is a +2. Now let's look at these inequalities. Which inequality best represents Louise's graph? Well, none of these are in slope-intercept form. They're all in standard form. So I can get rid of this 3x by subtracting 3x and 5x for these problems on both sides. Here I need to divide everything by 5 to get rid of this. So I'll have y is less than or equal to 5 goes into -5 a negative 1 time. 5 goes into negative 3. Well, we just leave that as a fraction. So does this one right here match? Well, our y-intercept for this graph is negative 5. Here it says it's going to be negative 1. So it's not A. For B, divide everything by 5. We have y is greater than. 5 goes into 15 3 times. And 5 goes into negative 3. Negative 3 over 5. Again, that's not our slope and that's not our y-intercept. So it's not B. C, we're going to be dividing by a negative 3. So anytime we divide by a negative, our inequality flips. So instead of opening up that way, it's going to go this way. Negative 3 goes into negative 5. 5 over 3 times. Negative 3 goes into negative 5. A positive, 2 negatives give you a positive. 5 over 3 x. So here, 5x, we got rid of that. Negative 3, divide everything by negative 3. So our alligator flips again. And then negative 3 goes into 15, negative 5 times. So far that's looking good. And negative 3 goes into negative 5, positive 5 over 3x. Well, let's check our slope. Did we do this right? So let's zoom in so we can see this properly. Does it rise 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and run 3, 1, 2, 3? It does not. So this graph is a little bit messed up, and that could be because of the copy. The copy machine doesn't copy it right all the time. So the correct answer for this problem is going to be D, because it is the closest one. And your teacher will go through the test and make sure that, you know, if there's any mistakes like this problem, that it'll be announced in class, okay? We'll announce those at the beginning when we pass out the test. So let's move to number 5. It's just like the one before. The only difference is now we have it in slope-intercept form, meaning the slope, the number in front of the x, and the y-intercept are all on the same side. So let's look at this graph. Our y-intercept, our b, is negative 1. And our slope, we rose 1, ran 2, so 1 over 2 is our slope. So let's look at these. We have a slope of 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2. Can't cross anything out. Slope of negative 1 for all of these. So we couldn't cross anything out. Now here, we have a solid line. So we know our inequality is going to be underlined. So we cross out D and A. Now we shade it above the y-axis, which means our inequality is opening up towards the y. It's going to eat the y. So our correct answer is C. Number 6. Which of these shows the inequality y is greater than 4 minus x? So we have a y-intercept of 4. We cross out D, and we cross out C, because that's at negative 4. Our slope is negative, so we know it's going to be going down. So it's not A, but B. It was not underlined, our inequality, so it's going to be that dashed line, and it's eating the y, so we do shade above, which this graph is. So let's look at number 7. Something very similar to it again. Which graph best represents 2x minus y is less than 10? So I'm going to subtract 2x on both sides. I want y by itself. I'll get negative y is less than negative 2x plus 10. Now from here, I want my y by itself. So I'm going to divide everything by negative 1. That way I have a positive y. But since I divide it by a negative number, my inequality flips. Two negatives right here are going to give me a positive 2x. A negative and a positive give me a negative 10. So let's start with our y-intercept of negative 10. This one has it, C has it, A has it, and B has it. So we couldn't cross anything out. Our slope is a positive number, so that means it's going to be going up from left to right. A is doing that, B is doing that, D is not, and C is not. So it's not one of those. Now from here, we look at where it's shaded. Our alligator's eating the Y. Our inequality is going toward opening up towards the Y. So we're going to shade above. So it's not going to be A because it's shaded below. So it's going to be B. Number 8, they want us to graph now. And they were nice enough to put it in slope-intercept form. So whenever we're going to graph, we always want to start with our y-intercept, which is 4. Our slope is negative, so we're going to go down. We're going to go down 1, because our top number tells you how many to go down, and to the right 3. So down 1, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to repeat that pattern until I run out of room and I can't go to the right anymore. Now I'm going to start with my y-intercept and do the opposite. So I'm going to go up and to the left. And then I keep this pattern going until I run out of room. And then I look at my inequality. It is underlined, so I can connect these dots to be a solid line. All those points are very important and we count them. And our shading, our alligator is going away from the Y. It's opening up towards the equation, so we're going to shade below. So all of these are possible solutions down here. Alright, let's look at number 9. This equation is not in slope-intercept form. We have something attached to that y. And anytime we have a number and a letter side by side, we divide because it's multiplying. And we're dividing by a negative number, so it's going to flip the inequality. So negative 5 goes into 10, negative 2 times, and don't forget your x. So there's no number after this x. So it's like saying plus 0. So it's going to go through the origin. We're going to go down 2 and over 1. And we're going to keep that pattern going so we run out of room. Then you're going to continue up and over on the other side until you run out of room. Our inequality is not underlined, so it becomes dash. We don't connect these dots. Our inequality is opening up towards the y. It's eating the y, so we want to shade above our y-intercept. So we go like that. Alright, let's look at number 10. Which of these represents the graph of the solution set to the inequality? 3x minus 2y is greater than or equal to 12. So we want this y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 3x on both sides. That goes away. The negative 2y just drops down. Our inequality drops. We cannot connect these two. They're not like terms. So negative 3x plus 12. Now I want y by itself, so I'm going to divide everything by negative 2. And when I divide by a negative, I'm going to flip my inequality. That becomes 3 over 2x. Negative 2 goes into 12. Negative 6 times. So now let's look at these graphs. This is what we're trying to match it with right here. So I'm going to move this over. If you need a pause to write all this down, go ahead. But I'm going to go ahead and move on. I know my y-intercept is a -6. So it cannot be B and it cannot be C because those are not at -6. But A and D both are. Now the difference, the obvious difference is the shading. This one shaded above, this one shaded below. Well, if we looked at our inequality, we see that the alligator's opening up, or inequality is opening up away from the y. So we want to shade it below. We want the smaller y values, which is what D is showing us. So yes, this is going to be the correct answer right here. Number 11. It says, Valerie purchased X tubes of lipstick at $4 each and Y bottles of nail polish at $2 each. She spent less than $12, not including tax. Use the grid below to graph the inequality. 4x plus 2y is less than 12. So I'm just going to rewrite this equation so that we have room to solve it, because we want to graph it. That's what it's telling us to do. I want that y by itself, but it's being attached to the +2, and there's a 4x also on the same side. So we need to add or subtract to get rid of that 4x. We're going to subtract because it's a +4x, we want this to go away. But the rule in algebra is what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So you have 2y, your inequality, minus 4x plus 12. Divide everything by a +2. Since it is only a +2, we do not need to flip our inequality. We only do that when multiplying or dividing by a negative number. And this is what we will get. So let's graph that. We're going to start with, and I'm going to zoom in just a little so you can see this a little bit better. And we're going to start with our y-intercept, which is +6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go down 2 because my slope is negative, and over 1. Down 2, over 1. And I keep that pattern going like this. And when I run out of room, I'm going to continue it on the other side. Up 2 over 1. I look at my inequality, it's not underlined, so I'm going to have a bunch of dashed lines. And the last part is to shade. And I'm shading below because the inequality is going away from the y. So everything below the y-intercept, like so. Alright, number 12. It says, James needs to earn more than $175 in 1 week. Oh, let me zoom out a little bit more so you can see it all. So James needs to James needs to earn more than $175 in 1 week. He charges $20 to mow a large lawn, X, and $14 to mow a small lawn, which is y. Which inequality best represents the situation? Okay, so looking at all of these choices that we have, what can we cross out automatically? Well, he needs to earn more than 175, so this is the minimum number he wants, 175. So your inequality is going to open up away from it. So we can cross out F. And now looking at these other choices, it says $20 to mow a large lawn, X. So the 20 and the X have to go together. And the only one that has that is answer choice J. So that's our correct answer. Now if we look at our inequality, it's not underlined because it's not okay if he earns 175. He wants to earn more than 175. That's why it's not underlined here. Alright, number 13. It says, ooh, there it goes. Identify the inequality that best represents the graph shown below. Now none of these are solved for y, so we need to solve for y. And we're looking for an equation that has a y-intercept of 2 and a slope of up 1 over 3. So a slope of 1/3. That is what we are looking for. So let's start with the first one. I'm going to subtract x on both sides, so that goes away. Divide by -3, -3, -3. That goes away, so my inequality, is going to flip. 2 negatives give me a positive 1/3 x. So here, they're saying that we're going to shade above. Did we shade above? No, we did not. So that's not going to be the correct answer. Looking at answer choice G, we subtract x on both sides and divide everything by -3. So our inequality is going to flip. -3 goes into 6, -2 times. Automatically, we know our y-intercept isn't -2, so we can stop right there, cross that one out. Answer choice H, subtract x on both sides, divide everything by -3, and we get y. Flip your inequality. 2 negatives give you a positive, and a positive again. So here, you have a y-intercept of 2, a slope of 1 over 3, and we're shading below because the inequality is going away from the y, which is exactly what this is doing. So far, or it looks like H, but let's double check. Subtract x on both sides, divide everything by -3. So you will have y, flip your inequality, -2 plus 1 over 3x, and we already said that our y-intercept is a positive 2, not a negative, so it's not J. Okay, let's look at number 14. Mine's a little bit different, the coloring. I know. So it says the theater department is told they can spend no more than $150 on snacks for their upcoming play's concession stand. They will buy chips and drinks. The chips will cost $1.50 per pack, and the drinks will cost $2.50 per case. Which best represents the situation above? If X is the number of chips, so X goes with chips, and Y is the drinks. So we want to look for something where the X and 150 are together and the Y and 250 are together. So X and 150, 250 and Y. So D does not match that. Now it also says they can spend no more than 150. So it's like their maximum. So we can cross out A, because they're saying it's the minimum. Now what's the difference between B and C? Well, 150 for the chips, so that one was okay, I'm sorry, that was okay. It was the inequality that was wrong with that one. 150 for the chips, and $2.50 for the chips is what they're saying here. Well, we know right here they're saying chips will cost $1.50. And down here it said that let X be the number of packs of chips. So the 150 and the X have to go together. Sorry, I said it backwards earlier. So it is going to be B because the 250 is what was wrong. It wasn't matched up correctly there. Now, I know it says part B, but that is its own question right here. The ordered pair 2, 3.5 is in the solution set of which of the following inequalities? This one should say is not a solution set of which of the following inequalities. So it cannot be true. So we're going to plug in 2 for X and 3.5 for Y for each of these and see which one comes out true. So for answer choice A, we have 3.5 is less than or equal to 1.5 times 2. Well, that's just going to be 3. Is 3.5 smaller than or equal to 3? No. And we're looking for something that's not. So far that looks like a good answer choice. Part B, answer choice B, we plug in 3.5 for Y. 0.5 times 2 plus 2.5, that's going to give us 3.5. So that's a true statement, and we're looking for something that's not. So that can't be it. Answer choice C, plugging in 3.5 for Y. 5 over 2 times 2 minus 3. Make sure when you put that in your calculator to multiply, you put it in parentheses. And when you plug that in, you should get a 2. Well, yeah, 2 is less than 3.5. That's a true statement. So it can't be that one. Answer choice D, plug in 3.5, 3 over 2, plug in our 2 right there for X, multiply that, add 1, you'll get 4. Is 4 bigger than 3.5? Yes, it is. So our answer is A. So I just kind of wanted to show you with answer choice D how we were getting true or false statements. So number 15, the last one that we're going to do together, and Ms. Pascual will finish it off for us, is an oyster provides approximately 17 calories. And a shrimp provides approximately 26 calories. So oysters are 17, shrimp is 26. Jay wants to consume no more than 300 calories eating oysters and shrimps. So we're going to be adding those two together. Which inequality best represents the number of oysters, X, so we put an X next to 17, and the number of shrimp, Y, so a Y next to that 26, like that. That Jay can eat and stay within his limit. Well, we know we're going to be adding these two together, the oysters and the shrimps. But if we look at these answer choices, B is adding the number of shrimp and 17. Well, it's 17 for each shrimp or each oyster. So that can't be it. This one is doing the same thing. They're combining the calories together and then multiply that times however many oysters and shrimp that he eats. That's not right. And then it's saying the same thing for C, but your inequality is flipped. It's answer choice D because it's 17 calories for each oyster and 26 for each shrimp. And the most he can eat is 300. So your alligator's going to eat the 300 because it's the max. So don't forget to study. Your test is either going to be on Valentine's Day or the Monday we get back from that weekend. So make sure you study and turn it in because it is a grade.